It's still pretty cold out, so we're not going to spend a lot of time in the hive. Try to find out as much as we can in the shortest amount of time. Christina is a first-year beekeeper. This was her first winter. She started with a nuke,
I started with a nuke.
so we were able to look back at her treatment schedule. Her first treatment was in July after a state inspection. They found the mite load, and she treated right away with Apivar. And then she called me for an inspection in August, and I also recommended treating for mites. I don't know if the Apivar wasn't getting it done, or sometimes a nuke just comes with a really high mite load. That happens sometimes, and for whatever reason, she needed to treat again, was my opinion. So she did. This time she treated with Apigard. And then she treated a third time in October with a single vapor treatment just before winter. We took a walk around her yard. She noticed a lot of bees back and forth to the water source. That tells us two things. First, there's not a lot of moisture in the hive, and second, they're rearing lots of brood. Need copious amounts of water to produce the jelly. What else would they be using the water for? They're not cooling the hive, and they're certainly not drinking all that water. I think a good way to start any inspection is to spend some time at the hive entrance, get a sense of how defensive the bees might be. Is there pollen going in, or are they under robbing pressure, so on. You can see her setup here. She used a bee cozy as insulation. She's also got an insulated cover from Homer's.
From Homer's, yeah.
Homer's bees. There's a lot of bees in this hive. The colonies don't look like this in late winter, when they're suffering from the foul brood or any other disease. However, it doesn't mean that the mite infestation is at a safe level. And this is why. The colony will grow at roughly 18,000 bees per month during the spring buildup. And the mite population will roughly double each month. So all you have to do is some simple math. We'll start in April with 10,000 bees and less than 1% mite load. So by July, it's still showing 1%. And you might think that you have good bees, when in fact the mites are growing their population totally unfettered. At will, they're expanding at the maximum rate. The colony is doing nothing to slow them down. This colony will collapse before winter if nothing else happens. Therefore, a mite load of less than 1% in early spring is too high. You can see the same thing at scientificbeekeeping.com if you use Randy Oliver's mite model. These blue numbers are mites in an alcohol wash. So again, throughout the spring buildup, every month that you do a sample, you're going to get a result of 1% or less than 1%, even though this colony will collapse in fall. So the question becomes, what is the spring threshold? Back to Christina's hive. These bees, just the slightest movement, and they're ready to. They just totally attack me here. They don't give you much warning sometimes. Lifting the frame can often be kind of difficult. So my best advice is just to take your time and make sure you cut free all four corners. Cut the propolis away, and most of all, just be gentle. If you don't want to get stung, or you don't want your bees getting angry, be gentle with them. And this frame looks decent. It's not perfect. It's not a perfect brood pattern, but I don't think there's anything of concern here. There's some drone brood here, so they're rearing drone already. And that's the first step along the way to a swarm. Uh, and once drones start flying, you want to check every week. It takes 8 days to go from nothing to a capped queen cell. So uh, not quite there yet, but the concerns for this hive are getting it treated again and start thinking about how to handle how to manage the swarm impulse.